Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of the UES frontier and looked at the stars. 3 months had passed since they left Earth. 3 months of empty space and silent radio calls. His crew of 200 people was getting restless. They all wanted to find something new out here in the dark. "Captain, we're getting strange readings," said Dr. Lisa Carter. She was the ship's scientist who studied alien life. Her fingers moved fast across her computer screen. "There's something big about 12 hours away." Jake walked over to her station. The screen showed energy patterns that made no sense. They pulsed like a heartbeat but were much too large to be from any living thing he knew about. "What kind of energy?" he asked. Lisa shook her head. "I've never seen anything like it. It's coming from a dead star system. There shouldn't be anything alive there." Commander Ryan Hayes joined them. He was Jake's second in command and always worried about danger. "Could be a trap," he said. "Dead systems don't give off energy like that." Jake studied the readings. Every instinct told him to be careful. But they had come out here to find new things. Earth needed them to explore and make contact with other life forms. That was their job. "Set a course," Jake ordered, "but keep our weapons ready." The frontier turned toward the strange signals. As they got closer, the energy readings got stronger. The ship's computers had trouble understanding what they were seeing. 12 hours later, they found it. A massive structure floated in space around the dead star. It was bigger than any city on Earth. The metal looked ancient, but still gleamed. In the starlight, strange lights moved along its surface like veins carrying blood. "My God," whispered Amy Walsh, the chief engineer. "Who could build something like that?" The structure was clearly not human. Its design made no sense to human eyes. Parts of it seemed to phase in and out of view, as if it existed in more than one dimension. "Life signs?" Jake asked. Lisa checked her instruments. "Nothing, but the energy readings are off the charts. Captain, I think this thing has been here for thousands of years." Jake made his decision. "Take us closer. Launch a probe." Ryan grabbed his arm. "Sir, we should report this to Earth first. Get more ships out here." "That would take months," Jake said. "We're here now. This could be the discovery that changes everything." The probe flew toward the ancient structure. For a few minutes, everything seemed normal. Then the readings spiked. "Captain," Lisa shouted. "The probe just vanished. Not destroyed. Vanished. Like it never existed." Before Jake could respond, the lights on the alien structure began to pulse faster. The dead star behind it seemed to flicker. Then something came out of the structure toward their ship. At first, Jake thought they were ships, but as they got closer, he realized these things were alive. They looked like ghosts made of light. They had long, flowing bodies that shimmered with every color he could imagine. Some had what looked like tails that glowed brighter than the rest of their bodies. "Red alert," Jake commanded. "All hands to battle stations." The alien beings moved through space without any ships or engines. They flowed like water, but fast as lightning. The frontier's weapons locked onto them, but the targeting systems couldn't get a clear fix. "They're phasing," Amy reported from engineering. "Sometimes they're solid, sometimes they're not. Our sensors can't track them properly." The first beings reached the ship. Jake watched in horror as they passed right through the hull like it wasn't there. Alarms screamed throughout the ship as the creatures appeared on every deck. "They're inside!" Ryan yelled. "All security teams defend the crew!" Jake drew his weapon and ran toward the main corridor. He found chaos. The glowing beings moved through the ship like living light. When they touched crew members, the humans collapsed. Not dead, but drained of energy. One of the creatures appeared in front of Jake. Up close, he could see it had a face that was almost human but made of pure energy. Its eyes burned like small suns. It raised what looked like a hand, and crystals of light formed in the air. Jake fired his weapon. The energy bolts passed right through the being without effect. The creature pointed at him, and the crystal weapons flew forward. Pain exploded through Jake's chest. The crystal weapons didn't just hurt, they seemed to pull the life right out of him. He fell to his knees, gasping for air that wouldn't come. Blood filled his mouth. More crew members fell around him. The beings moved with purpose, not killing but disabling. They wanted the humans alive but helpless. Jake crawled toward the bridge, leaving a trail of blood behind him. He had to protect his ship. He had to save his crew, but his strength was fading fast. The crystal weapons had torn through his lungs and crushed his ribs. He made it to the bridge entrance before collapsing. His vision went dark around the edges. He could hear Lisa calling his name, but her voice seemed far away. That's when he saw her. This being was different from the others. Where they were bright and harsh, she glowed with a softer light. Her body was more formed, more real. She had what looked like a long tail that pulsed with gentle blue and silver light. She moved toward Jake while the other beings continued their attack. Jake tried to reach for his weapon, but his arm wouldn't move. He was dying. He could feel his life slipping away with each heartbeat. The female being knelt beside him, her tail glowing with that beautiful light, slowly wrapped around his neck. Jake expected death. Instead, he felt something else. Warmth, comfort, and somehow, impossible as it seemed, hope. She leaned close to him. Though she had no mouth that he could see, he heard her voice in his mind. It was soft and sad, like music from a broken instrument. "I'll save you," she said. "But you won't be human again." Jake's vision failed completely. His last thought before darkness took him was of his crew. If this alien could save him, maybe he could save them. Maybe there was still hope. The battle raged on around his dying body, but Jake Morrison was no longer part of it. He was somewhere else now, somewhere between life and death, between human and something else entirely. The choice would be his to make. Jake Morrison found himself floating in a place that wasn't quite real. Around him, colors swirled like living paint. He could breathe, though he remembered his lungs being destroyed. He could think, though he remembered dying. "Where am I?" he asked the emptiness. "You are between," came the voice. It was the same gentle sound he had heard as darkness took him. "Between life and death? Between your world and mine." The female being appeared before him. Here in this strange place, she looked more solid, more real. Her skin seemed to be made of starlight, and her long tail moved like it was swimming through invisible water. Her eyes were the deep blue of space itself. "Who are you?" Jake asked. "I am Zara. I am of the Veltar." She moved closer to him. "We are what your people call energy beings. We gave up our physical forms long ago." Jake looked down at himself. He still looked human, but he felt different. Lighter. "Am I dead?" "Not yet, but close. Your body fails as we speak. I have perhaps minutes to offer you a choice." Around them, the swirling colors formed shapes. Jake saw his ship, the Frontier. He saw his crew fighting the other Veltar. Many humans were down, drained of energy but still breathing. "Why are your people attacking us?" Jake asked. Zara's expression grew sad. Fear. You triggered our ancient defenses when you came near our sacred place. My people have hidden from the physical world for so long that they see all solid beings as threats. The images changed. Jake saw the massive structure they had found, but now he could see it was more than a building. It was a tomb, a memorial to what the Veltar used to be. We were like you once, Zara explained. Physical beings with hopes and dreams. But we grew beyond our bodies. We became pure energy, pure thought. We thought it was evolution. We thought it was better. But it wasn't? Zara shook her head. We gained power, but we lost something important. We lost the ability to create new life, new ideas, new dreams. We have been the same for thousands of years, slowly fading away. Jake understood. You're dying out. Yes. And when your people arrived, full of chaos and creativity and life, my people were terrified. They remembered what it was like to feel, to change, to grow. It scared them. The scene around them shifted again. Jake saw Earth. He saw human ships spreading across the galaxy. He saw his own crew, brave and curious and alive. But not you, Jake said. You're not scared. No, I am fascinated. Your mind, even dying, burns brighter than any Veltar consciousness. You feel things we have forgotten how to feel. Love for your crew, duty to your mission, hope for the future. Jake felt a pull, like something was dragging him away from this place. He knew his body was failing. Time was running out. What's the choice? He asked. Zara moved closer. Her energy touched his, and Jake felt her loneliness. For thousands of years she had watched her people grow cold and distant. She had remembered what it was like to be alive. I can save you. I can heal your body and give you power beyond what any human has ever known. You will be stronger, faster, smarter. You will be able to survive in space itself. You will be able to speak with energy beings like us. But you will no longer be entirely human. You will be something new, something between my people and yours. The change cannot be undone. Jake thought of his crew. He thought of Lisa studying alien life. He thought of Ryan protecting the ship. He thought of Amy keeping everything running. They needed him. Earth needed him. What about my people? What about the attack? If you accept, you become a bridge between our kinds. You can speak for both. You can stop this fight and maybe, if we are lucky, find a way for both our peoples to survive. The pull grew stronger. Jake could feel his heart stopping in the real world. His crew was calling his name, but he was too far away to hear them clearly. Will I still be me? Zara's touch grew warmer. I believe so. Your core, your soul, your love for your people, that will remain. But you will see the universe differently. You will understand things that no human has ever understood. Jake closed his eyes and thought. His crew was depending on him. Two entire species were about to destroy each other out of fear and misunderstanding. Maybe this was why they had found the Veltar. Maybe this was always meant to happen. If I say yes, what happens to you? I will be bound to you. Part of my energy will become part of yours. I will share your thoughts and feelings. I will experience what it means to be alive again through you. And if I say no, you die. Your people fight mine. Both sides lose everything. It wasn't really a choice at all. Do it, Jake said. Zara smiled, and for the first time since arriving at the dead star, Jake felt hope. She moved toward him, her form growing brighter, Her tail, glowing with that beautiful blue and silver light, wrapped around him like an embrace. "Thank you," she whispered, "for giving me the chance to feel again, for giving my people the chance to remember what we lost." Energy flowed between them. Jake felt his body changing, reshaping itself. Pain shot through every part of him, but underneath the pain was something else. Power, understanding, a connection to the universe itself. The swirling colors around them began to fade. Jake felt himself being pulled back toward his body, toward the real world. But he wasn't the same person who had been dying on the bridge of the frontier. "Remember," Zara's voice echoed as consciousness returned. "You are the bridge. You are hope for both our peoples." Jake Morrison opened his eyes on the bridge of his ship, but the eyes that opened glowed with a soft blue light. The man who sat up was still Jake Morrison, but he was also something more, something new, something that both species would need to understand if they wanted to survive what was coming. Jake opened his eyes and saw the ceiling of his quarters. But something was wrong. He could see more than just the metal above him. He could see the energy flowing through the ship's power systems. He could feel the heartbeats of every crew member. Aboard the Frontier, Dr. Ben Clark, the ship's doctor, nearly dropped his medical scanner when Jake sat up. "Captain, you've been unconscious for 3 days. Don't move too fast." But Jake felt stronger than he ever had in his life. He swung his legs over the side of the medical bed and stood. His chest, where the crystal weapons had torn through him, showed no wounds. His breathing was perfect. "I feel fine, Doc." His voice sounded the same, but there was something else underneath it, a harmony, like two people speaking at once. Ben ran his scanner over Jake's body. The readings made him frown. "Your cellular structure, it's different. Your DNA has been altered. Captain, what happened to you down there?" Before Jake could answer, the door opened. Lisa Carter rushed in, followed by Ryan Hayes and Amy Walsh. They all stopped when they saw him standing. "Jake," Lisa breathed. "Your eyes." Jake looked in the mirror on the wall. His reflection showed him the truth. His eyes now glowed with a soft blue light, the same color as Zara's tail. His skin had a faint shimmer to it, like starlight under water. "I'm still me," he said. But even as he spoke, he could feel Zara's presence in his mind, not controlling him, but there, sharing his thoughts and feelings. "Are you?" Ryan asked. His hand rested on his weapon. "The last thing we saw was that alien creature wrapping itself around your neck. Then you collapsed. We thought you were dead." "I was dying," Jake admitted. "Zara saved me." "Zara?" Lisa pulled out her tablet and started taking notes. "The alien has a name? She's not just an alien. She's one of the Veltar. They're energy beings who used to be physical like us. They're not evil, just scared." Amy crossed her arms. "Scared? They drained half our crew. Johnson is still in a coma." Jake felt anger rise in him, but it wasn't just his anger. Zara was upset too. Through their connection, he could sense her, pain at what her people had done. They thought we were invading their sacred space. It was self-defense. Jake moved toward his friends, and they all took a step back. The rejection hurt more than any physical wound. "Captain," Ryan said carefully, "you need to understand how this looks. An alien creature does something to you, and now you're defending them. How do we know you're still loyal to humanity?" Jake felt something snap inside him. Power flowed through his body, and the lights in the room flickered. Everyone else took another step back. "I died for this crew," Jake said, his voice carrying echoes of Zara's musical tones. "I accepted transformation to save all of you. Don't question my loyalty." The room went quiet. Ben's medical scanner was beeping wildly. "Captain," Ben said slowly, "your energy output just spiked to levels that should be impossible for a human body." Jake took a deep breath and forced himself to calm down. The lights stopped flickering. "I'm sorry. I'm still learning to control this." Lisa stepped forward, her scientific curiosity overcoming her fear. "What can you do now? What did she do?" "To you?" Jake concentrated, the way Zara was showing him. Suddenly, he could see the energy patterns of everyone in the room. Lisa's mind burned bright with curiosity and wonder. Ryan's showed concern and duty, but also fear. Amy's was focused and practical, trying to solve the problem. Ben's was analytical, studying Jake like a puzzle. "I can sense your emotions, your thoughts, if I concentrate. I can see energy in all its forms." Jake looked at his hands. "I'm stronger and faster than before. I think I could survive in space without a suit." "And Zara?" Lisa asked. "Where is she?" "Here." Jake tapped his chest. "Part of her energy merged with mine. She experiences everything I do. Through me, she can feel what it's like to be alive again." Ryan shook his head. "This is wrong, Captain. You're not human anymore." "I'm more human than I've ever been," Jake replied. "I can feel things more deeply. I understand more. And through Zara, I know what we need to do, which is make peace. The Veltar are dying out because they gave up physical form too completely. They can't create new life or new ideas anymore, but humans can. We have something they need." Amy frowned. "What do we have that energy beings could want?" "Chaos, creativity, the ability to change and grow. They've been the same for thousands of years. We change every day." Lisa was writing furiously on her tablet. "And what do they have that we need?" Jake smiled, and for a moment, his friends could see the old Jake in his glowing eyes. "Technology beyond our dreams, the ability to travel instantly across the galaxy, knowledge of the universe that they've gathered for millennia." "A partnership," Lisa whispered. "Exactly. But both sides are afraid. The Veltar fear change. Humans fear losing what makes us human." Ryan was quiet for a long moment. Finally, he spoke. "And you're the bridge between them." "That's the plan, but I need your help. All of you. My crew has to accept what I've become, or this will never work." Ben looked at his scanner readings again. "Captain, I need to run more tests. What you're describing, it's like you've evolved overnight." "Maybe I have. Maybe that's what this is about. Evolution." Amy stepped forward. "I'm with you, Captain. I've seen your readings. You're putting out more energy than our main reactor. If we can understand how that works, we could revolutionize human technology," Lisa finished. "Jake, this could change everything." Ryan was still hesitant. "And if you're wrong? If this Zara is using you somehow?" Jake felt Zara's sadness through their bond. She had been alone for so long, watching her people fade away. All she wanted was the chance to feel alive again. "Then I'll deal with that when it happens. But Ryan, I'm still your captain. I'm still the same man who's led you through a dozen missions. I'm just more now." Ryan studied Jake's face for a long moment. Then he straightened and saluted. "Orders, sir?" Jake felt relief wash through him. "Contact the Veltar. Tell them I want to meet with their leaders. It's time to talk." And if they refuse? Jake's eyes glowed brighter. They won't. Zara is already speaking to them through our connection. They're curious about what I've become. As his crew prepared to make history, Jake felt Zara's excitement mixing with his own. For the first time in thousands of years, the Veltar had hope. And for the first time since leaving Earth, so did humanity. The real work was just beginning. 2 months after Jake's transformation, Admiral Kate Foster arrived with a fleet of 12 Earth warships. She stood on the bridge of the USS Defiant and stared at the reports coming from the frontier. None of it made sense. "You're telling me that Captain Morrison is now some kind of alien hybrid?" she asked her intelligence officer. "That's what the reports say, ma'am. He's negotiated a peace treaty with beings called the Veltar. They've been sharing technology and knowledge." Kate had known Jake for 15 years. They had served together in the Outer Colony Wars. He was a good soldier and a better man, but the person described in these reports didn't sound like the Jake Morrison she knew. "Get me a direct line to the frontier," she ordered. On the massive Veltar structure, Elder Thane was equally upset. He was one of the oldest consciousness among the Veltar, and he did not like change. "This corruption must be stopped," he told the other elders. "Zara has contaminated herself with physical matter. Now she spreads this infection to others." Other Veltar had begun asking questions about the hybrid. Some were curious about what Jake and Zara had become. Others wanted to try the transformation themselves. The young ones asked to become like the human Veltar, another elder reported. "They say they want to feel alive again." Thane's energy flared with anger. "We transcended physical form for good reasons. We left behind the chaos and pain of solid existence. This human brings all of that back." Meanwhile, on the frontier, Jake was learning just how complicated his new existence could be. He sat in his ready room with Zara's consciousness active in his mind. Through their bond, she was experiencing human emotions for the first time in millennia. The taste of coffee? She marveled through their mental link. "I had forgotten that physical beings could experience such simple pleasures." Jake smiled and took another sip. "Wait until you try chocolate." Their conversation was interrupted by an incoming message. Admiral Foster's face appeared on the screen, and Jake could see the shock in her eyes when she saw his glowing blue gaze. "Jake, what the hell happened to you?" "Hello, Kate. I've been better. I've also been worse. The reports say you're part alien now, that you made some kind of deal with hostile forces." Jake sighed. He had been expecting this conversation, but it was still difficult. "I died, Kate. The Veltar saved me, but the process changed me. I'm still human where it counts." "Are you? Because from where I'm sitting, you look compromised. I have orders to bring you back to Earth for evaluation." Through their connection, Jake felt Zara's fear. She had bonded with him completely. If Earth's military took him away, she would be lost forever. "I can't do that, Kate. I'm needed here. The Veltar and humans are just starting to understand each other." "That's not your call anymore, Captain. Stand down and prepare to be taken into custody." The line went dead. Jake felt anger building in him, but he couldn't tell if it was his emotion or Zara's. The lights in his room flickered as his power spiked. "Captain?" Ryan's voice came over the intercom. "We have 12 Earth fleet ships surrounding us. They're powering weapons." Jake stood up. This was exactly what he had been afraid of. Fear was driving both sides toward conflict again. On the Veltar structure, Similar tensions were rising. Thane had convinced several elder councils to take action against the hybrid contamination. "We will cleanse Zara of this infection," he announced. "The human will be returned to his natural state or destroyed." But some of the younger Veltar disagreed. They had been watching Jake through Zara's connection. They saw how he experienced joy, sadness, hope, and love. These were feelings they had given up long ago. One young Veltar named Keth approached the elders. "What if this is not contamination? What if this is evolution?" "Impossible," Thane replied. "We evolved beyond physical needs long ago." "But look what we lost," Keth argued. "We cannot create. We cannot grow. We cannot love. The human shows us what we gave up." The argument was interrupted by alarms. Long-range sensors had detected something approaching from deep space. Ships unlike anything either humans or Veltar had seen before. "The Korath Empire," whispered an elder who had been monitoring galactic communications. "They have found us." Jake felt the change in the Veltar through his connection with Zara. Fear, but not of humans anymore. Fear of something much worse. "What's the Korath Empire?" he asked Zara mentally. "Destroyers," she replied. "They consume worlds and civilizations. We hid here to escape them long ago, but if they have found us..." The approaching ships were massive, covered in dark metal that seemed to absorb light. They moved with purpose toward both the human fleet and the Veltar structure. Admiral Foster's voice crackled over the communications. "All ships, unknown vessels approaching. They're not responding to hails." "Kate," Jake called her ship directly. "Those aren't human or Veltar. We need to work together." "I'm not taking orders from a compromised officer." "Then take them from someone who knows what we're facing," Jake replied. Through his bond with Zara, he accessed Veltar knowledge about the Korath. "They've destroyed entire star systems. They view all life as resources to be harvested." The first Korath ship opened fire. Its weapons tore through space itself, creating rifts that pulled matter into nothingness. One of Admiral Foster's ships simply vanished. "My God," Kate breathed. "What are those weapons?" "Reality tears," Jake said. "They can unmake anything that exists. Kate, we need to combine our forces, human tactics with Veltar technology." For a moment, Admiral Foster hesitated. Then another of her ships disappeared. "All units, follow the Frontier's lead," she ordered. "Emergency alliance authorized." Jake felt Zara's knowledge flowing through him. Veltar defensive systems activated around their structure. Energy shields that could bend space itself formed barriers against the Korath weapons. "Ryan, get me a channel to all ships, human and Veltar," Jake ordered. When the connection was established, Jake addressed both fleets. "The Korath want to destroy everything we are. Human creativity and Veltar wisdom. But together, we're stronger than either species alone." On the Veltar structure, even Elder Thane was forced to admit the truth. "The hybrid speaks wisdom. We must unite or fall separately." The battle began in earnest. Human ships used their speed and unpredictability to confuse Korath targeting systems. Veltar beings phased through space to attack from impossible angles. And at the center of it all, Jake Morrison coordinated both sides through his unique connection. But the Korath were prepared for this. Their weapons adapted quickly to counter both human and Veltar tactics. "We're losing," Admiral Foster reported. "They're learning from every attack." Jake felt desperation building in both fleets. Then he sensed something else. Other humans aboard the Frontier were asking to speak with him. Lieutenant Sam Rodriguez was the first to volunteer. "Captain, if the transformation worked for you, maybe it can work for others. We need every advantage we can get." Dr. Lisa Carter surprised everyone by stepping forward next. "I want to understand what you've become, for science and for survival." Jake looked at his crew. Good people, willing to sacrifice their humanity to save others, just like he had done. "The process can't be undone," he warned them. "Neither can death," Sam replied. "At least this way, we can keep fighting." Jake felt Zara's excitement through their bond. Other Veltar were volunteering too, willing to merge with humans to create more bridges between the species. "Do it," Jake ordered. The transformation process began even as the battle raged around them. Humans and Veltar merged their essences, creating new hybrid beings with powers neither species had alone. The tide of battle began to turn. The new hybrids could think like humans, but fight like energy beings. They could create tactics the Korath had never seen before. But Jake knew this was only the beginning. The Korath would return with better weapons and more ships. The alliance between humans and Veltar would need to become something permanent, something stronger than either species could achieve alone. 5 years had passed since the first battle with the Korath Empire. Admiral Jake Morrison stood on the observation deck of Unity Station, the first joint human-Veltar outpost built at the edge of known space. Through the massive windows, he could see ships from both species working together, their crews now including dozens of willing hybrids. The transformation process had been improved over the years. New hybrids kept more of their original nature while gaining the enhanced abilities. Jake watched as Sam Rodriguez, now his second in command, coordinated a patrol of mixed human and Veltar ships. Sam's eyes glowed with the same blue light as Jake's, but his smile was still completely human. Dr. Lisa Carter had become the leading expert on hybrid biology. Her transformation had enhanced her already brilliant mind, allowing her to understand both human and Veltar science. She had helped hundreds of volunteers through the process safely. "Admiral," came a voice behind him. Jake turned to see Amy Walsh approaching. She had chosen to remain fully human, but had become the chief engineer for the entire alliance. Her ships now used technology that combined human innovation with Veltar energy manipulation. "The long-range sensors are picking up movement," Amy reported. "The Korath are coming back, and this time they're bringing their entire fleet." Jake felt Zara's presence stir in his mind. Over the years, their bond had grown deeper. They were no longer two separate beings sharing one body. They had become something new entirely. "How many ships?" Jake asked. "Thousands, maybe tens of thousands." "Admiral, they've spent 5 years studying our tactics. This won't be like the last battles." Jake nodded. They had always known this day would come. The Korath Empire didn't forgive defeats. They learned from them and came back stronger. "Call a meeting of all commanders, human, Veltar, and hybrid. We need to discuss our options." An hour later, the command center was filled with representatives from both species. Admiral Foster was there, now commanding the human fleet. She had never undergone transformation herself, but she had learned to work with those who had. Elder Thane attended as well, his ancient consciousness now sharing space with younger Veltar who supported the alliance. "Their fleet is massive," reported Captain Lisa Carter, her hybrid senses able to analyze the incoming data in ways pure humans or Veltar couldn't. "They have weapons specifically designed to disrupt our hybrid abilities." Elder Thane's energy flickered with concern. They have learned to target the bonds between human and Veltar consciousness. If they succeed, the transformation process will become impossible. Jake studied the tactical displays. The Korath had indeed learned from their previous defeats. Their new weapons could separate hybrid consciousness, effectively killing both the human and Veltar components. "We can't fight them conventionally," he said finally. "They're too prepared for our current abilities." "What are you suggesting?" Admiral Foster asked. Jake felt Zara's agreement flowing through their bond. They had discussed this possibility many times over the years. It was the one option they had hoped never to use. "Complete integration," Jake said quietly. "Zara and I merge entirely, become something that has never existed before." The room went silent. Even the other hybrids looked shocked. "Jake," Sam said carefully, "you're talking about giving up your individual existence. You wouldn't be human or Veltar anymore." "I know." Jake looked around the room at all the people he had fought beside, human and Veltar alike. "But if Zara and I can fully integrate, we might be able to create a new form of consciousness, something the Korath can't predict or counter." Elder Thane's form brightened with understanding. "A true fusion of physical and energy existence. It has never been attempted." "Because it's suicide," Admiral Foster protested. "Jake, there has to be another way." Jake felt Zara's warmth in his mind. She had been alone for thousands of years before their bond. The idea of true unity, of never being separate again, filled her with joy rather than fear. "There might be," Jake admitted. "But by the time we find it, the Korath will have destroyed everything we've built here. Every human colony, every Veltar sanctuary, everyone we care about." Lisa Carter ran calculations on her hybrid-enhanced computers. "The energy output from a complete fusion would be enormous, maybe enough to power weapons that could stop the entire Korath fleet, or destroy half the galaxy," Amy warned. Jake walked to the windows and looked out at the mixed fleet. Human ships with Veltar energy weapons. Veltar beings learning to pilot physical vessels. Hybrids who could do both. They had created something beautiful here, something worth preserving. "The choice is mine to make," he said finally. "But I won't do it without your support." One by one, his friends and allies voiced their agreement. Even Admiral Foster, who had once wanted to arrest him as a traitor, nodded her consent. "Do it," she said. "But Jake, thank you for everything." The process took place in the heart of Unity Station. Jake lay in a specially designed chamber while Veltar elders and human scientists monitored every stage. Lisa Carter oversaw the medical aspects, while Elder Thane guided the energy manipulation. "Are you ready?" Thane asked. Jake felt Zara's presence more strongly than ever before. For 5 years, they had shared thoughts and feelings. Now they would share existence itself. "We're ready," Jake said, speaking for both of them. The barriers between their consciousness began to dissolve. Jake felt himself expanding, becoming more than human. Zara felt herself becoming more solid, more real. Together, they became something entirely new. The transformation sent energy waves throughout the station. Every hybrid felt the change. Every Veltar sensed the new type of consciousness being born. Every human instrument registered power levels beyond anything they had recorded. When it was over, the being that had been Jake Morrison and Zara opened its eyes. They still glowed blue, but now they held depths that seemed to contain entire universes. "I am," the being spoke, its voice carrying harmonies of both human and Veltar tones. "We are something new." The new consciousness stood and walked, to the command center. It could feel every human and Veltar in the fleet. It could sense the approaching Korath ships and understand their technology in ways neither species could alone. The Korath fear us because we represent change, the being said to the assembled commanders. They want the universe to remain static, controllable. But life is about growth, evolution, becoming more than what we were. Admiral Foster looked at the being that had once been her friend. Can you stop them? Yes. But more than that, we can show them a different path. The Korath Empire exists because they fear being consumed by others. They attack because they believe it's the only way to survive. The being raised its hand, and energy flowed from it into every ship in the fleet. Human weapons gained power. Beyond their design limits, Veltar beings found themselves able to affect physical matter in new ways. Hybrids discovered abilities they never knew they possessed. When the Korath fleet arrived, they found something they had never encountered before. Ships that could phase between dimensions. Weapons that turned their own reality-tearing devices against them. Tactics that combined the best of physical and energy-based warfare. But the biggest surprise came when the being that had been Jake and Zara spoke directly to the Korath fleet through pure thought. You don't have to destroy to survive, it told them. There is another way. Join us. Learn to grow instead of consuming. Become more than what you are. Some Korath ships continued fighting, but others stopped, their crews amazed by the offer of alliance instead of destruction. For the first time in their empire's history, someone had offered them hope instead of fear. The battle ended not with victory or defeat, but with the birth of a new kind of civilization, one where humans, Veltar, and even reformed Korath could work together to explore the galaxy. Years later, children would be born who carried the traits of all three species naturally. They would grow up in a universe where transformation was not something to fear, but something to celebrate. The being that had once been Jake Morrison and Zara watched over this new galaxy from Unity Station. It was no longer individual, but it contained the love and duty that had once driven a human captain to sacrifice everything for his crew. Some prices were worth paying, some changes were worth making, and sometimes, to save everything you cared about, you had to become something entirely new. The stars shone brighter now, filled with possibilities that no single species could have imagined alone.